Okay, so welcome back, and we are at Bio 212, Anatomy and Physiology, Norwalk Community College. And again, you've read the text before you've started listening to these videos, or maybe you're just listening to these videos and hoping it's going to help you read the text. But again, I want to stress, to do well in this class, you have got to read the material inside the book. Okay, so when we last spoke, we were looking at this figure here, and I had put some summary notes on it, but I want to actually move here so you can actually see how this is all going to work. So the fallopian tubes, or the oviducts, will provide that route. And if you think about the comparison and the contrasting between the male reproductive system, spermatozoa made in one location, they actually have to travel through the actual entire ductal system, and they have to pick up fluid, they actually have to increase pressure. That doesn't have to happen here. Mother Nature is going to provide a system where we will change pressure, don't get me wrong. What's going to happen is you're going to create this ciliary conveyor belt where you actually have a series of epithelial cells that have cilia on it. And you actually have another population of cells that are releasing essentially glycogen into the space that will now allow for the secondary oocyte to stay alive. I should say glycogen and other intermediates. A series of peristaltic contractions will actually allow for not only the conveyance of the secondary oocyte, but eventually this idea is that, when you take a look at the cartoon here, let's get rid of this, let's go here. Okay, you can see ovulation will occur at one of these. It tends to happen 1 month here, next month here, 1 month here, next month here. And the fimbria, they move. They literally create a pulsating structure. And that pulsating structure will now draw that up into the actual the uterine tube itself. And now will travel into the isthmus, which you can see over here. And this is the epithelial lining that you need to make sure you're aware of. You're going to see there's an epithelial lining here. You're going to call that the endometrium. Deep to it is going to be the myometrium. And then outside here, surrounding that fundus, surrounding the body, even traveling down here to the cervix, this is all perimetrium. Okay? Now, when you're actually looking at this structure, notice again they have the posterior view here of the female reproductive system embedded inside this cartoon. Okay? What I want you to see is that you actually are holding everything with a series of ligaments. This is why something like birth can actually happen. All of these tissues have to be able to expand over a period of 9 months and then return back to their original shape at the end of that 9 months. And without this connective tissue holding all of this in place, this would be a one-off system. Okay. So how do those cells work? Here are the cilia out on top of epithelial cells. You can see these are columnar epithelial cells. And what you can also see here is you have non-ciliated peg cells, and if we imagine, we can draw in, if you'd like, you can draw in a secondary oocyte here, right? And remember, it's arrested at metaphase 2 or anaphase 2 inside meiosis 2, which means that all the chromosomes are here and it's being conveyed. Imagine it's traveling in a directional manner towards the uterus itself. Okay, so let's get out of there. Let's do this. I've already told you this. The uterus is made up of a body, okay? And the cervix is going to open to the vagina. What you want to pay attention to and make sure you're not in the wrong here is that you remember that the 3 layers here are going to be the perimetrium surrounds the outer part, and the myometrium is made up of three layers of smooth muscle, and it's the target of oxytocin. Okay, so way back when, in chapter 18, when you're like, oops, Control Z, bam. Okay, there you go. Whoops, Control Z again. What's going on here? There we go. Fantastic. Okay. Somehow Mother Nature needs to know how this is happening. Well, remember, it's stretch that actually starts all of this. So when we move on, the endometrium is highly vascularized. Okay. Put that underneath there. It has a stratum functionalis and the stratum basalis. The stratum functionalis is what's actually sloughed off during menstruation. Okay. Okay. What's going to happen, just like your skin, is the stratum basalis grows gives rise to a new stratum functionalis. This is really important because what's going to happen, of course, is we're going to regulate how this grows using hormones, and you can imagine what the hormones are going to be. If follicle-stimulating hormone and luteinizing hormone drive the regulation of oogenesis and ovulation, you're going to need to understand that the hormones that are made there are going to actually have to regulate now the biology of the endothelium. Okay, so we'll take a look at some vascularization in a minute. That's not necessarily, even though it's important because we need to make sure blood gets there, okay? What you want to be thinking about is what happens when blood doesn't get there. What is anoxia going to do or hypoxia going to do to this, okay? The cervix itself, okay, makes glycoproteins, lipids, and enzymes, and what they're doing, of course, is they're making the cervix and the vagina more hospitable to sperm as ovulation approaches. Okay? Not all the time. Okay? So it's a certain amount of energy required at a specific time during any one of the ovulatory cycles. Thinner, more alkaline fluid is actually being made, and it supplements the energy needs of the sperm, and it protects the sperm from phagocytes that are literally trying to destroy the actual spermatocytes. Okay, so let's go here. You can see this inside lab. That's the endometrium. The uppermost layer is the functionalis. This deeper purple layer is the basalis. Remember, this gets sloughed off during menstruation. As you approach menstruation, you're going to have more and more endometrial glands, and you'll learn why that happens. But here are the 3 layers of smooth muscle that make up the myometrium. Okay. The vagina itself is a fibromuscular canal. Okay. It actually has a mucosa. Okay. It's continuous. It's the decomposition of glycogen. Okay. That actually makes the environment acidic, which is both hostile to microbes and sperm, okay? And the alkaline components, remember, we change the materials that are being made, okay, as you actually raise the pH so that, one, the pH can be shifted, but also remember the alkaline components that the sperm bring with them will protect it inside this environment, okay? Cool. The outermost structures, okay, you actually have the mons pubis, which cushions the pubic symphysis. Remember, there's a hyaline cartilage, a fibrocartilaginous structure that holds the pubic bones together. You have the labia majora, which is homologous to the scrotum, the labia minora, which is homologous to the penile urethra, and the clitoris itself, which is 2 erectile bones that actually have numerous nerves. These are the Pacinian corpuscles I was telling you about earlier, as well as blood vessels, lots of blood vessels, because similar to the male reproductive system, the parasympathetic nervous system will tell blood vessels to become engorged, and as that happens, you change the actual potential of the Pacinian corpuscles. Okay. Now what's going to happen, of course, is that erectile tissue will now actually act as a sort of protective structure, a cushion, if you will. Okay? You can skip over the cartoons inside your textbook. And the end of the chapter, and they only give the mammary glands just a couple of moments of information here. And I don't know, maybe with time that will change. I think it has something to do with comfort or something. I have no idea. But the purpose of the mammary glands, these are modified sweat glands. Okay, that's all mammary glands are. And they're embedded inside a layer of adipose tissue. And the way they actually function is they respond to hormones that you learned about inside chapter 18 as a result of stage of, number 1, ovulation, and then 2, prolonged gestation of a fetus. So there are 2 regulatory stages here. There's the normal monthly stage, and then there's the, hey, if pregnancy occurs, then we change the tissue inside the body. Okay, so this is a pretty good place to stop this part of the chapter. You're going to notice that this material is very, very detailed. And in some ways, I feel like I'm doing it a disservice. I wish, I'm hopefully you'll have read the book. You'll come into class sort of with questions, and I'll know where, at that point in time, what you understand and what you don't. Okay?